Where's your family from?
My family's from Judea.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
The Jews.
Where's your great-grandfather from?
Where they were born, or where they
yes.
come from?
Where are they from?
Where they from is from Judea. I'm not.
Native homeland because God gave it to you 5,000 years
because that's
ago.
where we lived.
So I don't think you're accurate.
So it's important.
We don't care what you think. There's the truth and there's the lies. You tell the lies, he's telling the truth. Listen, process, move forward. How you guys doing? Today we're watching Rudy Rochman, the legend, debating an anti-Semitic person on the street. This video was filmed a while back, but still a great video to watch. Before you go to watch the video with me, don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, and it's crazy, and I want you to be a part of it. Yalla, let's watch.
Every Jew should get on their knees and beg for forgiveness for the theft of Palestine, historic Palestine. You're saying that they're the only
historic
tribe
Judea.
there.
The Romans called the land Palestine as an act of colonization. There's a context behind everything that you say that you're not including.
I don't like what you're saying at all.
Of course you don't like what I'm saying, because it counters an argument that you're trying to delegitimize Jewish right to exist. You're using suffering as political ammunition to target each other will only continue the conflict. I'm not.
Native homeland because God gave it to you 5,000 years ago.
Because that's where we lived. That's actually where we live.
Not where
Why are you
you
screaming?
live.
Why are you screaming?
His videographer, on point.
Shalom, my name is Rudy Rochman. We're outside of the 2020 APAC Policy Conference, Hebrew year 5780. Our mission is to engage with the protesters outside, to break out of our echo chambers, and to either expose anti-Semitism or to create genuine, nuanced conversations in order to write a better future together. Let's see what we get. Yalla. How's everything?
Last year.
Oh yeah? Did we have a conversation last year?
Might have.
Okay, so what's your stance why you're here today?
I'm here because I oppose the illegal occupation that Israel perpetrates on the Palestinians, the continued human rights violations, the confiscation of lands with the illegal settlements, the torturing and imprisonment of people without cause or even charging them.
So let me just get this straight. They talked last year and she listened to absolutely nothing that Rudy had to say. Interesting. Wow. A typical pro-Palestinian.
What else? Everybody should be protesting these things.
Okay, so
and all these people.
So before addressing this thing, are you also against the murders of Jews and the removal of Jews from their lands? So it's not just for Palestinians, it's for people in the land.
Okay, so let me just tell you about that. Israel has an uneven power in this region.
Currently, because
wait a minute.
Because until '67 it was the uneven power.
Let me finish. Israel is the one who is illegally occupying Palestine. Wait a minute. Israel is the one who's in violation of international law. Israel is the one who violates
but let's break down each one.
Okay.
First of all, before we get into the illegal, okay, explain to me how Israel occupies land.
How Israel occupies land?
Yes. Which land, first of all, are you talking about? Just the West Bank or Israel today?
I'm talking about, mainly right now, I'm talking about the West Bank.
Okay.
But honestly, every Jew should get on their knees and beg for forgiveness for the theft of Palestine. But at this point, there's no two-state solution. So it's all one country, and it was always one country.
Okay, so can I respond to you? I don't believe in it.
You're interviewing me, so you're
No, I want to have a conversation. Real conversation between real two.
Not really. No, you're interviewing me, so you can't really ask questions that are gonna make me look stupid.
Human beings that actually care for the people there.
Okay.
So I don't believe in a two-state solution, okay? But in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, you have a three-part division of the land. Area A, Area B, and Area C, right? The Palestinians control completely Area A. There's a mutual control of Area B, and Israel controls completely Area C.
There's no complete control of any part
Area
of
A is completely controlled by the Palestinians. It is.
No,
it is. They control it militarily and municipality-wise.
Okay. They may control, the government may control, the people are not free.
They're not, because the Palestinian Authority is on its 15th year of their 4-year term. The Palestinian Authority does not really represent the Palestinians.
I don't like the Palestinian Authority.
Me neither.
But I'm telling you.
But they're in the control of Area A.
Israel is in violation of Palestinian human rights. Not,
okay.
wait a minute.
That's another topic. That's another topic. Let's focus on one. How does the fact that Jews live in their native homeland?
This guy isn't with AIPAC.
I'm
it
not.
was your
I'm not. I'm
native
an,
homeland because God gave it
no,
to you
because
5,000 years
because that's
ago.
where we lived. That's actually where we
that's
lived.
not where
Why are
you
you screaming?
live.
Why are you screaming?
Where is your family from?
My family's
I know
from
they're not
Judea.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
The
Where's
Jews
your
that-
great-grandfather from?
Where they were born or where they
Yes,
come from?
Where are they from?
Where they from is from Judea.
Yeah. Where were they born?
Where they
That's what I say all the time. They're from Judea. We're from Judea. Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, Sephardic. Doesn't matter. We're from Judea. If you want to know where my grandparents came from to the land, to Israel, where they came back to, that's a different question. But we originate, Aini Ya'uda.
born is not where they're from because they were displaced from the land. The same way Palestinians are born elsewhere today, you wouldn't say that that's where they're from, right? So just because my family was displaced from my homeland, do not say that that's where they're from.
It wasn't your homeland. It was Palestine.
So what?
And
Who
Jews were
named the land
living there.
Palestine?
It was always Palestine.
But at some point, there was someone that called the land Palestine.
You know what? Your reasoning, I think you're very
But I'm-
delusional.
I'm
and I
asking
think
you- I'm
that-
asking you
I
a
think-
genuine
no,
question.
No, I don't think you're being really genuine.
Who
You
named the
know-
land Palestine? You
I
can't
don't
answer
know.
it. So you're
Every accusation is a confession. She's facing with the truth right now, and she doesn't like it. So she's like, you know what? I think you're not being reasonable. I think you're delusional. She's reflecting. She's the delusional one.
telling me I'm delusional. The
I
Romans called the land Palestine. This was 500 years before the birth of Islam. And they named it because
So?
it was Judea before. There was a civilization of the Jewish people and the Romans
There
conquered
was,
that
but
land.
they weren't the majority. There were other.
No, 2,000 years ago. No, you're mixing up your facts now. You're mixing up your facts. 2,000 years ago.
Oh, look us back, look us back.
The Philistines are from the island of Crete off of Greece.
No, there were other tribes there besides
Who?
the Israelites.
Oh, so now you admit that the Jews were there.
Oh yeah, they were there. with
Okay,
other
so
tribes, but
all
they
right,
weren't
now
the
we've
first
already gone
tribe.
somewhere.
Oh,
Good.
absolutely.
Who was the first tribe there?
I don't know who the first
I mean, the Jews
tribe.
aren't a tribe. There are 12 tribes, but who was the first peoples
I
there?
don't know who the first tribe there
Okay,
were,
so
but there were
historically,
others.
when you dig in the land and you look at historical records of other nations that have poured in, they talk about the Jewish people being there. The Roman Empire colonized.
I'm not disputing that the Jewish people were there.
Okay, the Roman
But they
Empire.
weren't the only ones there that they
The
claimed to be.
Roman Empire conquered Judea. They killed Jesus. Okay, and they renamed the land Palestine. This is 500 years before the birth of Islam. Why is that important? Because Arabs spread from Arabia through Islam. So Arabs had not lived in that land yet.
Look, buddy, I'm a Christian.
When you say buddy, you're completely diminishing the person in front of you. So she doesn't know how to face it. So she's diminishing him.
My name is Rudy, by the way. You can
My
refer to
name
me.
is Joanne. I just don't like the way you're reasoning. I think you're twisting the truth, and I don't think you're listening.
I am
No, you
listening.
listen. No, you
Go,
listen.
go.
I don't
I'm
like
listening.
what you're saying at all.
Of course, you don't like what I'm saying because it counters an argument that you're trying to delegitimize Jewish right to exist.
No, it's not. It's your.
You said 2 seconds ago that the Jews didn't exist there, and then now you say that they do.
The European Jews were
They're
from
not
all of
European.
Europe.
They're
Oh,
from
yes, they
Judea.
were.
They were displaced
That's
into Europe.
nonsense.
So you're saying that the
They were
Ashkenazi Jews?
They were one of the tribes in Palestine. They were one of them. You are trying to claim that it was all.
What do you mean?
Jews
Ashkenazi
there.
are not one tribe. They're not
That's
a tribe.
right. I'm not talking about Ashkenazi. I'm talking about the tribes in Palestine,
Okay.
in historic Palestine. You're saying that they're the only
Historic
tribe
Judea,
there.
the Romans called the land Palestine as an act of colonization. The land was called Judea. Like historically, if you look at
No,
records, yes, it
Maybe
was.
it was in the Torah, but no.
No, I'm not. I've never mentioned the Torah.
No.
I'm definitely not using the
I don't
Torah as a
think so.
source.
I don't think you're accurate.
So
And I think
it's
that you
important.
Think makes her look stupid. I don't think. We don't care what you think, young lady. Sorry, very old lady. We don't care what you think. There's the truth and there's the lies. You tell the lies, he's telling the truth. Listen, process, move forward.
That you said that you think because you don't know, so that's at least we're being honest here. But if you look at historical records of empires that had lived in the region or had conflict with people in the region, they refer to it as Judea.
The Jews do, and you're the only
And
people
I'm
that
saying
do that.
other nations. I'm saying other nations that had conflicts or had trade or had conversations.
It wasn't all Jews there, though.
Yes, there were non-Jews living there as well. I never said that.
They were the minority.
No, you're talking
actually.
about 1948
No,
and
I'm
before
not
that. I'm talking about 2,000 years
No, I'm not
ago.
talking about-
When Jews were in Judea and the kingdom of Israel, the Jews were the majority. Okay? They were the majority. And then they were displaced by the Babylonians, displaced by the Romans, and then they were the minority, but always continuous presence on the land. Always. So, if there's one group of people that they do have indigenous rights to the land, it's the Jews, not the Arabs who are indigenous to Arabia.
You're talking about 2,000 years ago, the
You're talking
Jews were a
about
minority.
You're talking about historic Palestine.
Historic Judea. I'm talking before the Romans called it Palestine. You're saying that that time when it was Judea, that
We don't need your help. Thank you.
you're saying that at that time the majority were not the Jews living in Judea?
That's right.
Based on what?
That's right.
Based on what? Because it fits a
There were
narrative?
other tribes there.
Jews are not a tribe.
There
Jews
were
are
other-
12
they
tribes.
Were come from the Israelite tribes.
Right. No, no.
Yes,
Yes,
they
there's
did.
12 tribes under Israel.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The
But
civil
they were not the only tribes. But see, you
What
don't
other
wanna
tribes
admit
live
that.
there?
There were other tribes.
What tribes?
I know that the Philistines lived there.
The
And there
Phi-
were
do
like
you know the-
several
do you know the
other-
history of the
I'll look it up,
Philistines?
But I know that the Israelites were not, or
The Philistines literally translate to invaders. They came from Crete. They have no correlation with modern-day Palestinians, which was a made-up identity invented in 1964 by Yasser Arafat. Before that, they referred themselves to Bilad Hashamis or South Syrians. This woman doesn't know what she's talking about.
the 12 other tribes were not the first ones.
Do you
there.
know-
And even if they were,
Yeah.
Israel is now in modern Israel, they're in contempt of international law.
How?
They
Okay,
violate-
let's talk about that.
Oh, just-
But like,
You know,
explain
I'm
it.
too frustrated talking to you.
Why? Look, if
because
you're
I don't think
Palestinian
you're really willing
if
to
you're
have an honest
Palestinian, if you're
conversation.
Palestinian,
I don't think she's willing to have an honest conversation. Let Rudy speak. He knows a lot more than you. He knows a lot more than you. Yo, release the kafia. The blood flow is... Yeah.
and I'm Israeli, the reality is that there's no future in the land without both of our populations finding a way. I'm trying to figure out a way for us to break down certain ideas and to stick on one. So if we talk about illegal occupation, if you talk about, laws being like...
But everything I say, you act like it's, you don't, like the first time you've heard it.
No,
or
it's
you
not the
don't
first
really
time I've heard it,
understand
but there's a context behind everything that you say that you're...
Guys, I'm going to pause the video right here because I do want you to watch the full video on Rudy's channel. I do want you to support Rudy's channel. It's going to be included in the description down below. So please do yourself a favor, subscribe to his channel, watch his videos, like his content. Great guy, great friend. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two from his channel as well. I mean, I'm sure you can. I learned a lot from him. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to me and Rudy. And I'll see you again next time in the next video. Yalla, bye.